Okay, so we're going to learn how to set up the hand, and it's going to be mainly set-driven keys. We need to, first thing we need to do though is we need to separate a set of joints for the animator to animate with and the ones that can be controlled by custom attributes. So let's do that. I'm going to select the palm joint and duplicate it, Control G, or Control D, sorry, and I'm going to grab this index 1 and I'm going to relabel these to index SDK, set driven key. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for the middle finger. We call these the middle SDK, and for the ring and the pinky, and the thumb. Okay. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to grab the index SDK1 and I'm going to parent it to the palm. And then I'm going to grab the index 1 and parent it to the index SDK1. And then I'm going to parent the index SDK2 to the index 1. And then the index 2 to the SDK2. Anyway, I'm going to go through and do this to the entire hierarchy. So the SDK3 needs to go to index 2, index 3 needs to go to SDK3, and so on and so forth. Okay. It's a little confusing to say, but there we are. So now I can use the SDK joints to move as set-driven key joints, and then the animator still has available the plain old index joints to animate with, and their transforms will stay zeroed out. So that's nice. So I'll spare you watching me do this to all the fingers, and I'll pause the video. Okay, so I've created all those hierarchies. Use the thumb hierarchy. And this extra palm joint that I have, I can just get rid of now. Nothing's parented to it, and so we just make it go away. Now, let's start adding our custom attributes to our hand control. I need to delete history on it first to make sure its transforms are zeroed out. And typically this hand control I like to place, so it's not confused with the wrist, is I like to place it above the wrist and then make it smaller so that it's a little bit more discreet and out of the way for the wrist control. So with it positioned there, you would modify, freeze transformations, then edit, delete by type, history. Okay, so now under my hand control, and inside the channel box, you go to edit, add attribute. I need to start adding a bunch of attributes. The ones I like to add first are the ones that globally control the entire hand. And so let's start out with a fist. So fist, and I'm going to make it a float. Minimum is going to be -1, maximum of 10, and default of 0. I'm going to reserve the -1 for the opposite of a fist, where the fingers are all flailed out and almost trying to bend them backwards to your hand. And the maximum is the actual fist. Okay, so I'll click Add, and then we'll do a spread. And spread, we want to do a minimum of, we'll do a -10, maximum of 10, and 0. You can choose whatever you like with these. Okay, click Add. Now, we'd want to do a spread and a bend and all that stuff for the individual fingers, but I'm going to do it just for a single finger, and we'll go ahead and do a curl for the index finger. Again, if you use camel case in the long name for the add attribute window, then the attribute will have a nice name in the channel box. Okay, so curl, we'll do a -1, maximum of 10, default of 0. Okay, we'll click OK. So now we've got 3, but you could easily have a list of 30 attributes here, custom attributes, all driving different things. Okay, so now with that done, we need to select our list of drivers. So this is where the little script is handy. You can say select, and because I have labeled mine SDK, I'm going to add a star in front and behind that SDK, and it should select all the SDK joints. Okay, and I'll verify that real quick because I don't want that to be to not work. Okay, now that I've got that done, I'm going to go to my animate, set driven keys, set, and here's a list of all my drivers. This is where it becomes tedious, and it would be very handy to know scripting at this point. Okay, now we're going to select the driver or hand control and click load driver. Now let's go ahead and make our spread attribute first. So first thing we need to do is check and see which of the rotates it is that we need. So if I click on the index and I see that Y is the rotate that we need to spread the fingers around. Okay? And then with the spread, it's actually the spread is only performed with what most people believe is the first, well, I guess it's the first knuckle, but it's not the first finger bone of each hand. So that's the one we'll use to spread. So we'll select each of those, and we'll key the rotate Y's. So if I hold down Control, I can select just the first SDK joint for each joint chain. And I'm going to leave out the thumb because it probably needs to be animated independently. So select rotate Y and key. Okay. Now I need to actually rotate them. So I need to change my spread attribute first. And let's do it to a -10, and that's going to bring all the fingers close together. And you know what?